Kaoru Wada. He's known for his music in anime like the Ninja Scroll movie, D. Gray Man, and of course Inuyasha. Which, let's be honest, his music is the real reason we care about Inuyasha and Kagome's relationship, so his music is just too beautiful sometimes. But some of his lesser known works, and props to you if you've seen any of these, he's done the soundtracks for Catcher in Sins, Tekken Man Blade, and everyone's favorite English dub, Ghost Stories, which, yes, that one surprised me as well. We all go into that one for the ridiculousness that is the English dub, but trust me, if you go back to it and listen to the music, it's so obviously Kaoru Wada's work, and it's like, how did I miss that the first time? And the English dub is the reason why.
Well, Dad calls her a whore, but I like to call her Mom.
Going on, the soundtrack to an anime they worked on that I can comfortably say is lesser known than those is 3x3 Eyes, which we'll be focusing on this video today, thanks to the lovely folks at TigerLabs for not only publishing the soundtrack on vinyl, but also exposing me to the series as well. Welcome to Music and Anime, my name is Ab, and first as always the song of the day, which is coming to us from Kyle Root, who says, any of Eureka 7's OPs. I know it's cheating, but they're also eclectic, and the whole show has many references to music. And yes, Kyle Root, I think you'd be right in it is kind of cheating there, but yes, after having listened to all of them, I do have to say that, I mean, opening 2, man, come on. It's like, OP2 is too OP. You know, you got the rap, the jazz, the funk, that, you know, hip-hop jazz fusion is like so my thing, and come on, there's no comp, at least for my taste. So thank you for sharing that with us, Kyle. And if you'd like to share your favorite anime opening, ending, or music in an anime, you can do so by commenting down below with Song of the Day, and you could see it in a future video. Alright, so 3x3 Eyes. Now, before getting into what this anime is about, I will say that if anyone is a fan of Inuyasha's soundtrack, you'd find a lot to love about the soundtrack in this anime as well. And yeah, I'll definitely get more into that in a bit. But first, the anime. What is this about? This story follows Pai, who is a 300-year-old and the last remaining Sanjian Unkara. And that's just an ancient race of immortals that got wiped out. So the irony is real with this one. So yeah. So Pai wants to become human so she can live out the rest of her days normally, and a specific demonic artifact is necessary to make that happen. She was discovered by a Professor Fuiji, who's an archaeologist, and he was injured during his travels looking for this same artifact. Pai tends to his wounds, and he decides that he's going to help her find that artifact and become human. But he starts to fall ill and dies shortly after. But just before he does, he sends her to find his son, Yakumo Fuiji, who's this character right here, who not only is not an archaeologist of any sort, he has no interest in archaeology whatsoever because his father left him and his mom to pursue all that. So yes, his mom died shortly after that, and he was very young too, so he was kind of left alone to just live life and figure things out himself. And if you're wondering, I didn't give a spoiler warning on all this because this is all literally just like the synopsis and very beginning of the series. So just a little bit more. After Pai finds Yakumo, a series of unfortunate events unfold and lead to Yakumo's death. And yeah, he dies quite gruesomely as well. So the series can be really bloody, and yeah, it's definitely for a mature audience. So for more reasons than just the blood too. But anyway, Yakumo, he dies, and Pai uses her Sanjian powers to turn him into her Wu. And a Wu is just like a Sanjian's guardian or something. So in doing that, she turns him immortal as well. So now they both have kind of the same goal, and that's to become human again, which is honestly a pretty good setup. You know, you have someone who's not interested in anything that's going on or whatever. He becomes immortal as well and doesn't want to be immortal. He didn't sign up for any of that stuff. And here we have the start of the journey. It's kind of funny too, because there's this juxtaposition of a Wu who's typically a very strong demon-like, you know, thing, and Yakumo's just like this dude. And yeah, he didn't sign up for any of this stuff and is just kind of like has to deal with it. So yeah, some of the ways he dies though, it's kind of rough. So the story, the build-up, cool and all, right? It's fine. But Pi, the last remaining Sanjian, I mean, come on. You see this third eye, right? That's how you can tell she's a Sanjian there. Well, I've got news for you because I, too, am Sanjian Unkata. And if you're like, well, hey, you know what? I didn't know that, but third eye, immortality, demon powers, that's cool and all, but do you even have a Wu, bro? Which maybe you've been ignoring Pumpkaboo on the side here the entire time, but Pumpkaboo? More like Pumpka Wu, man. Look at that. Yes, are you getting Yakumo vibes or Solid Snake vibes? You tell me. Either way, underneath, there you go. He's got the little Wu sign there. Yes. But like I mentioned at the start of the video, Kaoru Wada did compose the music for the soundtrack, and if you aren't already familiar with TigerLabs, they pressed some of the music from the second OVA. That's Legend of the Divine Demon, and you can see there that it matches the art that's on the cover there, so that's awesome. And full disclaimer, I purchased these myself. I was not provided these by TigerLabs, but yeah. There are 2 volumes to the second OVA, and I reached out to TigerLabs for just a little more details on what's pressed on here, and they told me that included in these beautiful records are the tracks from Volume 1. Now, there are 3 versions of the records that they press. The first one is the sub-exclusive, so they have a subscription thing you do every year. But yeah, that one is gray with a blue splatter. The second of which is exclusive to their website, which is this very nice blue. It's blue with brown swirl. But something interesting happened when I went to spin it that I wasn't expecting. Because at first, I'm like, okay, you don't really see enough of the brown. I really wanted a little more brown in there. But when I went to spin it, it's almost like a spell is happening, you know. It's very mesmerizing to look at. So it was subtle, but it was enough that it was pretty cool at the same time. Now the third one here is my personal favorite, and thankfully the wide release version of it, so you can get your hands on it whether it's, you know, on their website or not. It's the brown marble, and oh my god, does it like it's the first brown record that I own, and they really nailed it. It's such a good brown color, and it looks ancient and like an artifact in and of itself. So it really matches the aesthetic of the series. You know, if you're gonna have, you know, Indiana Jones style adventures and whatnot, you know, going for relics and fighting off organizations that no one knows about in the underground and whatnot. It's God, it did such an amazing job with that. But anyway, I'll have links in the description for the records themselves if that's something you are interested in. So the records themselves are cut at 45 RPM, which means you fit less music on the discs, but you get better sound quality. And that's typically the trade-off. But what's interesting about the soundtrack itself, or at least this volume, each track, they feel like more than one track in and of themselves. So as you're listening to it, it feels like there's more music on it than what's actually there. For instance, one track would have like 3 parts to it, and the 3 parts in that track, it just changes from one sort of theme to another and whatnot. So it shifts as you're listening to it, and it's still a cohesive experience, but it's a trade-off that doesn't feel like a trade-off at all, because there's quite a bit there still, and it does sound great. So the music itself, Kaoru Wada has a very distinct sound, right? As every good composer does. And across all of his works, he does a really good job at drawing you into a scene where not much can even be happening, but you can't help but feel this demonic or otherworldly presence just beyond those shadows, you know? And though there are creepy undertones to his music, he really emphasizes curiosity with the melodies that he throws on top. His melodies work almost as though question marks are notation, and if we're talking about demons and the supernatural, which a lot of his works are tied to, the fear of the unknown is definitely a part of that. So if I'm putting it into a neat little package, we have fear of the unknown, and his music has creepy undertones with an emphasis on curiosity. But you throw in a little romance, and where are my Inuyasha Hime fans at? Which, Yashahime, I personally wish it was a bit better, but that's a conversation for a different day. Yeah, you guys especially should not sleep on this soundtrack for 3x3 Eyes. If you know, you want to get into the anime and everything, that's cool and all, that's great. But if nothing else, at least just listen to the soundtrack. You can find the soundtrack on CD as well, but if you're a record collector like me and you've dreamed of an Inuyasha OST vinyl box set, you know, which would be amazing, by the way. In my head, I imagine it like the Okami box set, you know, but oh god, just forget about it, you know. But yeah, 3x3 Eyes is the closest thing that'll fill that romantic hole, that romantic hole. And now's probably a good time to end the video. So yeah, if you are at all interested in picking up the records for 3x3 Eyes, I will have links in the description down below where you can go ahead and do that. If you've seen 3x3 Eyes, I'd love to know what you think about the series, and we can have a conversation about that. If you're also wondering, hey Ab, what happened to your third eye? Don't worry about it. It's totally fine. Share a song of the day if you'd like. And with all that said, keep on listening to the music that make these animes so great. And I will see you in the next video. Thank you.